The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Quirky Dog Podcast, inspired by some of the quirkiest dogs you can ever imagine and the owners who love them. This podcast is brought to you by the quirky couple themselves, Scott and Jess Williams. Their aim is to educate and entertain. Here's Scott and Jess.
Welcome, guys, and happy Wednesday. We have a very special guest here today. This is actually one of our former clients and her super cute dog, and that dog's name is Fenway. She's near and dear to our heart, and this is Badia Eskandar. She's going to be our guest today. But first, we are going to start with the quirky tip of the day. And that quirky tip is, if you have a treadmill at home, you should put your dogs in the treadmill. And Badia has used the treadmill with Fenway before, so she can tell us a little bit about it. Badia is here to discuss raising a dog with kids, because Badia is like mother of the year over there. How many kids do you guys have?
I lost count. No, we have 4.
Okay.
Yes, I don't know about Mother of the Year, especially given the pandemic.
And yes, what were their ages? They ranged from quite a few, like young and old, no?
Well, so now they are 13, 12, 9, and 6.
And
when we got Fenway, it was 2.5 years ago. So minus 2.5, all of those.
Yeah.
The deal was when we're out of diapers, including me and my husband, and when everyone was out of diapers, we can have a dog. That was the rule.
And it's worked out pretty well.
Yes,
Yeah.
it has.
So do the kids, you guys were so good about your classes. We talked about that all the time.
Well, you were having a lot of trouble with Fenway when you first came in, and she was very young.
Yeah, that's true.
Only 4 months or so, I think. Pretty young, but you were having trouble with the potty training. There's a multitude of issues. And you were getting frustrated. And we took her for a couple of weeks, and then we started doing classes together, and everything went pretty well.
And you had a lot on your plate at the time, but I was really impressed that the follow-up with those classes, you would be there, you would make sure all the kids were there. If your husband was in town, he was there. If the nanny could come, she was there. Like, you guys all showed up, and it was impressive.
Yes, but I think that's what it takes, because we live together, and Fenway's now living with us.
Well, you're preaching to the choir. Yeah. I mean,
like Scott said, there was a lot of issues, and so it wasn't just, oh, we can't get her to eat. It was everything, like every minute of the day. It was, where she spends her time, what she does when she's sitting in the house, what we don't want her to do, all of that stuff.
In your defense, she was slow to develop.
She was a little slow to mature.
Mentally, she was a little slow to develop. But I mean, we're talking a couple of months, because she caught up really quick. But we could see what you were dealing with when we took her in, because she didn't respond like a typical puppy in all situations. She was tough,
Yeah, and Badia is an overachiever, if you guys haven't sensed that so far through this interview. So tell us a little bit about Fenway and the treadmill, because you wake up and you run on that darn treadmill every day, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I definitely run every day, and I like to do it before life starts. So before the kids wake up and ask me for this and that, and before I go to work, and so the only uninterrupted time I have is 4 a.m. I get up and I go on the treadmill, and so I think I could be wrong, and Scott can tell me, but one of the things that Fenway struggled with was some anxiety, and I think the treadmill helped with her anxiety. Is that right? Is that kind of why we started it?
Well, it helps to build confidence in a young dog, because most dogs get nervous when the ground starts moving underneath them, rather than them moving. So they have to work through that little fear, which might take 2 or 3 sessions. But the structure of it, and the fact that the dog has to keep pace with the belt instead of the dog just running down the street, is it's a mental exercise as well as physical exercise.
Yeah, they have to be more mindful of their steps. So she's good with the treadmill still, because there was a little bit of a learning curve there, right? She was kind of a pain in the butt about it originally.
Yes, there was. And now she's much better about it.
Good.
We have a system now. The treats go, in the very front of the treadmill, where she can, she has to walk towards them to get to them. So now she knows, like, oh, this machine, oh, I see. Where are my treats? Here we are. Let's do it, So
well, I would say the nice thing about the way you came with the family and everything is, for you, that seemed like the normal thing to do. That made sense to get everyone on the same page. But a lot of other families in your situation start out with good intentions, but then on the follow-up classes, they just send the housekeeper or the nanny, or they'll send someone I've never met before. And over the course of maybe 4 classes, I meet 4 different people that aren't communicating with each other. So nobody is really getting a cohesive understanding of what needs to be done in the household, you know?
Yeah, but you guys fought for it. So how does it go now? Do the kids help with chores with her and stuff? Like, how has this looked? We probably haven't seen you, what, for a year and a half, probably?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's good to see you today, Badia. You look good.
It's good to see you. You guys look great. I'm so happy to see you.
I wanted to ask, speaking of overachiever, I just wanted to get this out of the way. Have you done a marathon in every continent yet? Or is it every state? Did you get every state down?
I did all the continents, and then the states. Actually, I was doing a marathon every 3 weeks in a different state.
That's a lot of rest in between.
Sorry?
It's a lot of rest in between. You would think you could just knock them all out.
So what I started doing is doing 2 states, 2 marathons in 2 different states on Saturday and Sunday. So I would fly to, I'd run in Colorado, then I'd drive to Wyoming, run in Wyoming on a Sunday.
It's kind of like Goggins.
And go to work on Monday. So I did that. I would do 2 states sometimes on a weekend. So I was on state 34. On March 15th, I ran Hawaii.
Oh my God.
Before COVID, right?
Lockdown went down.
While you were there, or?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the strictest state in the country, yeah.
Yeah.
You're lucky.
Yeah, so I'm glad I got that in.
Yeah.
I had my fill of being on airplanes. And I took the 4 children. So it was just me and the 4 kids in Hawaii.
Great.
During
When I
COVID.
got off that plane, I was happy not to get on a plane for a year again.
I bet.
So your states they've probably slowed down a bit with COVID, no?
Yes, so I have not been on a plane or been out of Massachusetts since March.
Yeah, so you got a lot of making up to do. 2021, 2022, you got, what, almost 20 states left? What do you have, 15 left?
Yeah, 16. So I've been running a marathon every 3 weeks since the pandemic started. So from my house, I have different routes that I take. I run to work sometimes, or when traffic is bad, sometimes I just pull over and I run to work.
Well, you should jog up to Maine and visit us.
I should.
I was going to say, are you using Fenway? Are you working with Fenway, going out jogging with the dog? Because I knew that's something you wanted to do.
So Fenway does come, but if it's more than a 10K, Fenway does not come.
Right.
Then I have to give her water, and
Yes, it's
and
much.
her water.
Yeah, and it can be a lot on her joints and stuff. Yeah. So the running is good, but I want to hear about what the kids do. We love to talk about Badia's running because Badia is just like a superstar marathon runner. but as far as Fenway and those kids, like, how does the day-to-day stuff go? Do they have chores with her? Do they like to do tricks with her? Do they just like to lay and cuddle with her? Like, what is her role in that family over there?
Actually, all of it.
Okay.
So the things that they enjoy and the easy ones are the cuddling and the hanging out, and they love doing that. But we do have chores. We have a chore chart.
Oh.
And yes, and I keep track of their chores and who's done, who's completed them and not completed them. And you get a strike if you don't complete your chore.
This is just like my childhood. We had a thing, and we get demerits if we didn't complete the chores.
I like the word demerit more
Yes.
than strike.
Yes.
Strike goes with Fenway more.
Yeah.
Fenway. Strike,
Yeah.
Fenway, ballpark, yeah. Although demerit sounds more sophisticated. But I want to circle. So they do have chores. They are in charge of feeding her, filling her water bowl. And we have I don't know, I don't think you've been to our house, but we have a door that she goes out, and then it's an enclosed area with just gravel, like you taught me.
Yeah.
Where she goes potty. So when you say, Fenway, let's go potty, she knows, don't go now. She goes in, we let her out and she comes back in. So the only place she goes to the bathroom is in that area.
Okay.
So that area, you can imagine, has to be clean.
Yeah.
And so that's part of the chores.
Yeah.
There is a set of gloves and everything out there so they can help themselves, but it's part of the chores, and you get a strike if you don't do that.
Wow. So they're really stepping up.
Yeah, well, I mean, they don't like getting strikes because they're trying to their candy and their money and their allowance. So, but I do want to circle back to something. I know you're very convinced that Fenway was on the slower side. My husband,
Yes, I am.
But maybe at the time she was.
That's right. She caught up. I'm saying that she had to catch up. It took her. I've seen it before. With just a few months makes a big difference.
Yeah. So because now I see it, I think she's so incredibly smart.
Yeah,
She's
she is
amazing.
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I want to tell you, and I don't know if you've ever had this, speaking of quirky dogs, my husband, and this, I can't believe this, but I'm going to send you pictures. I'm not lying. My husband's teaching Fenway how to play chess.
Oh, good.
Yeah, he has the rules written out. The kids wrote the rules out on the inside of a crate. In case she gets bored, she can read the rules.
Interesting.
So,
Well, of all the awesome things that you guys do with being brain surgeons and marathon runners and awesome parents, if he can actually get Fenway playing chess, I think that may be the golden ticket. I think the Queen's Gambit can just sit down. If Fenway and him can sit down and they can do a whole game, that'll be entertaining for everybody to see.
Is she picking pieces up?
Sorry?
Does she pick pieces up in her mouth? Like, how does she move a chess piece?
No, we're not at that level yet.
Okay. She's just working on the strategy, the mental game.
I'm talking mental game and sitting back and not,
I got it. I'm teaching my dog to smoke cigars.
Yeah.
We do it out on the back deck. Jimmy sits next to me.
Making sure there's no inhaling. And for those of you who don't know, Badia's husband lives in New York. So what? His 3 weekends home a month, he's playing chess with Fenway, I guess, huh? That's the way that he...
Yeah.
I hope he didn't get COVID. Did he get COVID at all or no?
No, thankfully, none of us.
Yeah, because he's been in the thick of it the whole time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, he
Thank
has
goodness.
been. New York was hit hard originally.
No kidding.
Now it's better. And also with me at Mass General, I work at Mass General and I'm in the front line.
And did you get it or nobody got it?
No.
Good.
Thankfully, no, nothing. We do have, I think we've already went over that we're a very structured family. So everything is structured, schedule, everything. We have a, family meeting every Sunday and we discuss things and all that.
Yeah.
But we have a system for when I go to work and come back, and that includes the outdoor shower. So when I come home, I actually have to.
Boy, that's chilly, I bet, huh?
Out there. This robe out there, shower out there, leave everything out there, and then Clorox on the side of the car.
Wow.
And
you're really going the extra mile.
So the towel is left outside for me, so I come in with the towel and then.
What I do is after I see a new client, I come in, I get back in the car, I rub my face, I scratch my eyes, then I get my stuff and I clean my hands off. That's how I do it.
I gotta get on him about the sanitizer. You can see him at the gas stations. He's not big on it.
No, I'm getting better.
Speaking of COVID, are the kids home? Like, what's been going on? Has it been hybrid? What's going on?
Well, last year from March until June, it was all at home.
Yeah. And now what are you guys doing this year?
So thankfully, their school is so good. They go to school 4 days a week.
Okay.
And so they go Monday through Thursday, regular hour. I mean, a little bit shortened, but nothing, 8 to 2:30. And on Thursday afternoons, the whole school and all the faculty get tested at school.
Wow.
Okay.
And they get the results by the weekend. And that way, if anybody's positive, they stay home for the quarantine and everything like that. But the test they have is great. It's the children spit into tubes.
Oh, that's better than this nasal swab. Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet the kids would freak out getting the thing rammed up their nose all the time.
Yeah. I mean, it's
I hear it goes pretty deep. I haven't had it happen, but
we haven't been tested. So then when they were home, was Fenway different when they were home? Like last year, at the end of last year, how did that all look for you guys?
Yes, she very much wanted us to leave.
Well, that's good. That's an independent.
She's always in there's always a central area in the house. And usually she's all a part of it.
Yeah.
And when the lockdown came, like, where's Fenway? She'd be in the corner in the basement.
They're here still. Well, that's good. That's a well-adjusted dog. I'm proud of her for that. But that's a lot. I mean, stay at home with all the schooling and everything and 4 kids. I mean, that was a hustle bustle at your house more than you guys had to be used to, no?
Yes. And I've never been so happy to work out of the home. I mean, I couldn't wait. I'm like, oh, I get to go to work today.
Yeah.
I'm leaving.
I know.
Bring the outdoor shower.
The most traumatic thing that Fenway experienced during the lockdown was that, as you know, I don't know if we mentioned, so she's the kind of dog that needs to be groomed and her hair needs to be trimmed and things like that.
Yes.
So I was in charge of her grooming once the lockdown came, and it was a very, very sad state of affairs. I mean, she was like, it looked like she was attacked by an animal or something. She, I tried to cut it, but then I got lazy, then I got bored, then I got pulled. Then I realized the little hairs were getting in my nose. So she was very uneven for quite some time, and I do have pictures if you want to laugh.
We'll take the chest photos first.
my boys also had the same.
That's funny.
The oldest one stopped talking to me because
the COVID hair. Well, you are good at a lot of things, but you can't be good at everything. So hairdresser is not going to be on your list of professions that you can be looking at moving forward. And what about Fenway and the tail? She had some issues being in a crate with her tail, right?
Was she chewed on her tail or something? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had heard about it, but I hadn't seen it. So tell us how that whole thing went, because we always are interested.
About that, I think I can talk about this, but so the issue was that the very tip of her tail was bleeding. And we didn't know why, but I took her to the vet, and they said that she was diagnosed with happy tail.
Yeah.
That she was so happy that she just wagged her tail so hard that the tip of it got it
sounds like it's a positive diagnosis.
Very positive. I'm like, wait, my dog's happy. This is the best thing ever. But we did have to take her out of the crate because the crate was, of course, confining, and the more she decided she got. So we put her in a room that was just, when we needed her to be in a crate situation, we just put her in a room that had nothing that she could damage. It was the laundry room. But I tried the different treatments. So this lasted a long time. I want to say it lasted like 2 or 3 months, and it just wouldn't heal.
We were concerned about that.
So I put duct tape around it for the longest time. It didn't work. And then when I was flying back from one of my marathons, I sat next to a horse trainer, and he was from the Middle East, and there is such a thing with horses too. They put like a tube thing on their tails.
Right.
They also have a similar problem with their tails sometimes. Not happy.
Happy horse.
Yes. I don't know why, but I think also the ends of their tails get injured and bleed. But he described a thing for me that I could make for Fenway, and I did. It's more like not a PVC pipe, but a foam.
You can use like a soda bottle too.
Oh, I did that. She ate it off, and it went flying. It had too much momentum. But I got the horse thing, and I put it around her. But I did actually schedule a tail amputation with the vet.
Right, that's what they want to do.
I almost had it.
Well, that's what they recommend too.
Yeah, I know, and she does have a little bit of a longer tail than usual, I think, is what they said.
So genetically, she was trying to get her tail to the right length. That's what was happening.
Yes. But the funny thing about that is that when it happened, my children thought, they're like, wait, didn't she have the surgery so she couldn't have any more babies, and so she's not really a woman girl dog? And I said, yes, that's the surgery she had and everything. Well, why is she having her period out of her tail?
That's an interesting question. Now that's a thoughtful child.
That could be a malpractice suit. You guys could have discussed that. Oh my God.
That's not what it is.
So does the tail not bleed anymore? Is it better?
Yes, it does not bleed. Good. She kind of actually putting her in the other room and taking away the confinement of the crate.
Yeah. That happy tail.
Did you continue with the horse product that you were using? You had some type of horse product.
And then I put the horse product on her.
And that was a good thing to use?
Yes,
because we had the same issue with my dog, the shepherd.
Yeah, Scott's Mal had.
And we went, and the vet said, we're going to probably have to take the tail off. And we're like, you're not taking this dog's tail off. And she didn't know who she was dealing with, I mean, we got Jess here, so Jess treated the tail 6 times a day.
Yeah, all your tail troubles, Badia and I, we can start a tail company.
Not really.
It's a hard injury to deal with, and that's the thing. You can't infuse so much joy into your house. The dog's just too happy, and then it's banging the freaking tail against the crate, and it's a problem. So I'm glad it's better, because that can be a big thing to deal with. I want to talk a little bit about when you guys decided to get a dog. So I like this theory about the diapers. This is a good theory, and people should consider this theory as far as no grandparents in diapers, no parents, no kids in diapers if you're going to bring a dog in. How did you decide on the breed, and what was the process as far as all of that goes? Because we didn't really even talk about that when you were one of our clients. Normally we don't care. But for our listeners, how did that go? Was it like a Sunday family meeting that we sat down and talked about that we wanted to get this dog, or how did that look?
So the children had wanted a dog for a while. And so we definitely knew we were going to get a dog. And I grew up with dogs, so I knew for sure I wanted a dog. I also grew up, I think, very similar to a lot of families where my mom did all the work. Like, we wanted the dog, and then the dog came, and it was my mom's job,
Yeah.
And so I kind of anticipated that.
Sounds like you grew up in this country.
Yeah, I didn't. I grew up in Jordan, but my mother's American.
Okay.
My mother's from South Dakota, and she has the patience of, I don't know, she's like Mother Teresa. We lived in a third floor walk up and we had a German Shepherd. And she would take that dog up and down, you know, as many times as necessary. And we never helped. And I remember so many times her being so frustrated with us. So I said, you know, at the time I thought, it's your job. You're the mom. But now that I'm the mom, I'm like,
not my job.
So I know how this goes. You guys want a dog. Basically, it's going to be my responsibility.
Yeah.
So we're going to wait until I'm ready. And for us, the big thing was the babies, like the diapers and all of that. Because as you know, a lot of energy goes into that when they're little and diapers.
That's for sure.
So when we were done potty training the youngest one, we had a little bit of diapers left over and we had a bonfire and we burned the diapers. It doesn't smell great, by the way. I wouldn't do it. We wanted to commemorate the day because it has little silica gels.
Very forgiving in Swampscott. We do diaper burning parties.
It wasn't good, but we were happy to be done with the diapers.
Keeping it classy over there, Badia. Keeping it classy.
No, they weren't used diapers. Okay.
I know. We got it. We're with you.
So the breed, we were happy with anything. I mean, I'm a mutt, you know, I'm just from this country and that country and all of this, but my husband has a autoimmune disease, and so we knew it had to be a hypoallergenic dog.
Okay.
And so and my husband he's I think we discussed, he's a neurosurgeon, but he specializes in motor learning, like how the brain learns new things. And of course, mostly interested in how to teach new things to stroke victims, brain injury, things like that. You've been injured, now you need to relearn how to walk and all of this. But he has a lab and he has monkeys and he teaches them. And whenever they do something right, they get a reward like apple juice. It's very exciting. Yeah. But he went through the list of this. He was very interested in intellectually how smart the dog would be, because he did want to teach it chess and things like that. So he went to one of the highest, I think, was the Labradoodle. And so that's kind of how we picked the Labradoodle. Now the wait list for the Labradoodle, once we were ready, once the diapers were out of the picture, the wait list was rather long.
Sure.
And, I don't know if we should have done this, but we went to puppy.com.
And you got her and it worked out.
Yeah. And we had a great experience. There's of course limitations to buying a dog online. We
don't recommend it.
I don't think I'd recommend it for.
Yeah. You don't know what you're getting. You just don't know what you're getting. If it works out good, great.
Horror stories. And then what do you do with this poor soul that you have? Like you get, what do you do with it if it's not what you expect, you know?
Well, Fenway wasn't what you expected either. You having a hard
but she was trainable only thanks to you guys.
Yeah.
But the only thing requirement for me was that my husband doesn't have an anaphylactic shock when he sees her. That's all. That's the only thing I cared
That was
about.
A good baseline requirement there.
Yeah. But everything else was, doable.
And was it easier once you got her, or was it harder once you got her? I mean, 4 kids is a lot. And
it was harder.
Well, I want to see.
Harder.
That's why she was here.
But with the kids and the dog, not so much the dog itself, but just managing everything, even after training, just another thing to deal with. Was it more difficult to the point where you're like, we shouldn't have done this in the first place? Like, what was your pain point there?
It was definitely more difficult. I don't think it got to the point where we should have done this in the first place, because I think, it's like having a baby and saying, maybe I shouldn't have done that. I don't think maybe people do. Anyway.
That's why we have shelters. Yeah.
But that's how I feel about the dog, is that she's part of the family. Like you bring her in and you adjust, you train her as much as you can, but you have to adjust, and everyone has to be responsible for this. But it is hard to do when there's a lot of characters in the family.
The nice thing, Badia, is that you really did wait until, like you said, the kids were out of diapers. You knew it was going to be a big responsibility. And when you got the dog, it was a big responsibility. But you knew that going in, and you waited until the kids were old enough that you didn't have to deal with that plus diapers and all that stuff. So it worked out good.
Do they fight over the dog, or do they all have their own special time? How does that go with bonding with the dog and stuff these days?
They kind of have their own special time. You know what I mean? They each have their own, like the older kids have the dog later because they're awake later.
Yeah.
And then the little one is just always playing with her, and and then they each have their own thing. So they don't fight over her.
It's nice that she has such a nice temperament too. She doesn't get aggressive or growly, I'm assuming. And I haven't seen her in a while, but when we had her, she had a really nice temperament.
Yeah, she's still that way.
Yeah.
She's really good with everybody.
That's nice.
Does she do anything bad, or is she just the perfect dog now?
I wouldn't say she's the perfect dog. She's the best. No, she doesn't do anything bad. She doesn't chew on anything anymore. That was a big thing. Going to the bathroom inside the house was my biggest thing. But
and she's better about that. Good.
I mean, after she went to you guys, that stopped.
Yeah.
Good.
No, she doesn't.
She's just part of the family. And this is why when you get dogs, we want people to enjoy dogs. And like the kids are enjoying the dog. You guys are enjoying the dog. How did it go with the new nanny? Did that transition go okay? Did the new nanny do okay with the dog?
Yes. I mean, like I said, I'm very structured. Like I just set the expectations. And I think you do that too. When we went to you, you gave us this laminated card to talk about how much to feed her, when to take her out after she's fed, after she's given water. I mean, this is all puppy stuff.
Yeah.
But, now it's a lot. It's different. But we had that laminated card you gave us. I actually still have it because
you're a good girl.
Talk about this, but if I get my next dog. We're already talking about it. Anyway.
Well, the thing is, if all of a sudden you start having some little accidents with Fenway, I would recommend just getting right back to that card, regulate the water, find out what's up with the dog. And because sometimes it could be a urinary tract infection.
Yeah,
it could be some other weird thing,
Yeah. So we still have that. And it's just very structured. So the same with when the new nanny came along, I said, there's same with the kids. This is when they're fed. This is when the dog is fed. And, this is when they need to be taken to school. And this is when the dog's taken out. It's just kind of
we all like routine. Routine helps everybody.
I have a quick question. So when you had the tail issue and you had to get away from the crate, have you revisited the crate, or is that no longer part of the household?
We revisited it.
Okay.
Actually, she goes to it when she feels overwhelmed, I think.
Yeah.
That's why we keep it there. We don't send her to it.
No, it's nice that she has a place to get away, to get some quiet time. And you tell the kids don't crawl in there after her, give her space, I'm assuming.
Yeah, no kids allowed in there.
Yeah.
And when she's feeling overwhelmed, she'll go there and she'll just curl up. Especially when our 6-year-old, he loves playing with her, but it is overwhelming to her, I think, after a while.
Yeah.
And when we have people over, of course, this hasn't happened in a year, but when we have people over and when we have like a birthday party for the 6-year-old, like all these little kids, she's just going to the crate to just take a break from everybody. But there's one thing I wish she didn't do, and I can work on training her, is when we have meals, she just tries to get in our plates. Like she just comes up, puts her head under our elbow and tries to get in there.
I'm sure the kids don't give her any treats or anything when she's doing that.
I don't allow it.
When
you get a demerit.
There she's going with her demerits. Are you using your bed exercise still, Badia?
Yes.
Put her on the bed during dinner.
Oh, good.
There you go.
Fixed.
Check. I'm not going to give you a demerit, but I would have thought you would have come up with that on your own.
Or you could feed her.
No, I put her in the crate. I just say crate. No, you need to go.
Don't pee. Don't go in the crate. Well, I'm glad she's doing so well. And honestly, your commitment is really the reason that this has progressed along so well. And it does, no matter what the dog is like genetically or anything else, if you put the time in and you take the time and you actually just commit, it's going to be much improved from where you started. And it may even be enjoyable. And it sounds like it is pretty enjoyable for you guys to own her at this point, right?
She's brought us so much joy. I can't even tell you.
Our little lamb. Hi, Fenway.
I know. She's like a little lamb.
Checkmate.
Don't screw up. You're going to be in trouble. Now she's going to win. She's going to beat him. My gosh.
Badia, I want you to say hello to your husband from us because we haven't seen him in a long time.
And
He's a great guy.
And the kids.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for your time. You guys, if you are thinking about bringing a dog into your household and you guys have kids, think about the structure. Badia's children are more well-behaved than 95% of the population of children we see. They came and they sat and they were
soldiers.
They would listen very well and they were kind and they would bring us baked goods. Always good to bring baked goods to the dog trainers. But they were ready to take on the task. So if your house feels chaotic, maybe don't bring in a dog. If you feel like you're ready to take things on and you got all those diapers out of there, you guys can consider it. Thank you again, Badia, so much for everything that you guys have done for COVID and everything. And Fenway, I'm so proud of you with your tail, little one. Yeah. My little lamb, she's out of the frame.
Thanks for taking the time to talk with us today, and tell your husband that I think my myelin sheath is starting to deteriorate.
That's been going. That's been going for a while, Badia. She and I both know that. All right, guys, keep it quirky. We will see you next Wednesday. And thanks so much again for your time.
Bye.
Bye, Fenway.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.